Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In my previous video, I asked you to write some questions in the comment field for the 40,000 subscriber milestone. And you did, you wrote a lot of good questions, and here I'm gonna answer some of them. I have not really put them in any direct order, I just kind of go through them one by one. But yeah, hopefully I'll answer them well. Let's start. What's your academic background and how did you achieve the level you have now? Okay, my academic background, I studied 1 year in Sweden in a school called Hyper Island. That was for university. And it was a course on motion graphics. It was really good. I met a lot of nice people and got my first job after that. So, but it was only 1 year, so pretty quick one. But yeah, that was my only academic background in this field. How did you achieve the level you have now? Well, I would have to say it's through a lot of hard work, and having it both as my hobby and as my work really helps, because it's a big part of your life then, and you learn a lot from that. How do you recommend to start? To start out in animation or in this business at all, I think maybe create yourself a bit of a portfolio. If you mean to start out completely from scratch, then maybe just set yourself some goals, make a personal project or something where you end up making a little film or a test of some kind, and keep making those till you have a bit of a portfolio, and then maybe get into schools, or maybe you can even start working straight away. I think this industry isn't too bad in terms of like you have to go to a specific school to then get a job. It's more kind of based on what you can do like on your portfolio. So yeah, maybe make a personal project or something to start with. If you have any explicit tutorials step by step, could you share it? Yeah, well, I think with these videos I've been trying to do more kind of sharing my methods more than like a specific way to do something. So if I kind of want to make something that is more concept based and like inspirational than handheld walking you through every step, because then I guess those can be good too, those tutorials, but in the end then you just end up making the same thing that I made. So it's better that you apply the methods I have on your own work. Or you don't have to apply my methods, you can make up your own ones too. But yeah, that's my goal, to share my methods. What's your favorite animated film? That's a good question. That's a hard one. I think probably some of Miyazaki's films, because I would say if I had to pick one, I would pick Princess Mononoke, because it's quite a mature film, and I really like when animated films are more like any film. Like it shouldn't be just stereotypical animated films like for kids or the comedies or whatever. It can be quite serious, and I think that's really cool. And some of his films are like The Wind Rises and stuff. It's just basically a drama but in animated format, and I really get inspired from that. How do you get ideas for your own films? I think the best way for me is to just write about things that I know, things that I like, and yeah, that's what I've been doing so far. I just kind of pick a subject that I really enjoy, like in this new film it's about climbing, and that's something I really enjoy doing, so then I straight away already sit on some knowledge on that topic. So I think that really helps, because if you're gonna make a film, you're gonna have to kind of study that subject, and if you already know a lot about the subject, then that's a bonus. So that would be my recommendation. Can you do a tutorial only on texturing, 2D texture on 3D object? Yeah, maybe. I think a big part of my workflow is actually putting the kind of hand-painted textures onto 3D. So sure, I guess I could share more of that. Do you plan on making a full detailed animation course in the near future? This guy would buy it, he says. Oh, thank you. Well, I would like to. I think there's a lot of work goes into one of those, so I would have to find the right time to do it, but I'm not going to promise anything, but I'd like to do it. Let's say that. When you shoot video with actors for rotoscoping in 24 frames per second and then convert it to 8 to 12 frames per second, do you need to override the voice in case the character talks? No, so frames per second and audio doesn't really matter that much, or they're not really connected. So you can have 2 frames per second and play back the same audio you had for 24, but it's just going to be that the video is very laggy, but not the audio, of course. So no, you don't overwrite it in any way. You just, I mean, you might have to work around it a little bit if you have a very low frame rate, but I wouldn't, I guess my answer is no. How long did it take you to make Sensations? But that's my short film. I will link it here somewhere. How long did it take me? Well, it took me quite a long time, like a year and a half or something, to get it from concept to finished film. But it's a lot of time in there where I didn't work on it. It was done after hours, after work. So, you know, there were even months where I didn't even touch it. But I think it makes sense that something like that takes a while, because you kind of think about certain things or change things up, and you really want to get it right. So yeah, about a year and a half, but I'd like to make it faster, of course. Have you played your amazing, oh thank you, movie Sensations on any festivals or something like that? I have not. I did not submit it to any festivals. I know I should have done that. It's always a good way to get it seen, but no, I did not. I was lazy, and I was kind of in the mood of getting onto a new project, so I just kind of put it out there. But I'm really happy that people like it. Have you seen the animated film Red Turtle, and did you like it? If you didn't watch it, I recommend it. Oh, I did watch it. I did see that film. It's very good. I also recommend it. I think the style in that is really nice. It's quite an iconic film. I really liked it. I'm blown away at the depth of work a mere 8-second animation requires, and the fact that you do all the visual content yourself. All of the output you create is amazing. Oh, thank you very much. I noticed, however, that you primarily use Photoshop for animating rather than animate. Why? Also, would you suggest it to beginners in animation, such as myself? Why I don't use animate instead of why I'm using Photoshop instead of animate is because it's pixel based, and I think just pixel illustration or painting just looks a lot better with my work. I prefer it over vector, and I know Photoshop has some flaws in terms of animation. It's not the best animation software because it's lacking a lot of features, like when you play back audio and stuff, it's like never in time, and you can't scrub it, and I think that even the playback is not accurate. But yeah, I think the pros and the cons are they outweigh towards Photoshop in my opinion. I just think animate, it's just too clean with vector. Maybe I could use it to like do the roughs in it and get all the, you know, the first passes through and then move over to pixels. But yeah, it's just a workflow. Use whichever you think is best. That's my suggestion there. How did you make the camera move like that? Oh, this is a question relating straight to the last video. I love that you tell us how, but anyways, some parts can be more specific. Okay, so this was about camera mapping or projection mapping, and yeah, it could be more specific, I suppose, but as I said before, it's more about sharing the kind of concept behind the technique, and there's loads of videos on camera mapping if you want to look into that. But yeah, I'll take that on board. I might do something more specific. Do you use a tablet? I do. I have a Wacom Cintiq 13-inch HD. That's the model name. That's what I'm using at the moment. On average, how long does this all take you? Yeah, one of those shots maybe takes a day or two sometimes. It depends. I think what takes longest is normally the kind of coming up with the design and the ideas, placing out objects and being like, bit of a world builder. That's what takes longest. And then actual rendering is more straightforward. Can you use any 3D softwares like Blender to combine 2D art with Photoshop and After Effects? I think Blender has all that stuff within its own software. I've seen a lot of people comment here. It's like, do you try Blender 2.8? Why don't you use Blender? I think I haven't used Blender, but I hear a lot of good things about it. So if you are using that, please share your work you do with it. I'd like to see it. Why I'm using Cinema 4D and not Blender, you know, like Cinema 4D is a program that costs money, but it's because it's just the industry standard in where the industry I work in. So if I work with other companies, then they will most likely use Cinema 4D, and that's the reason for me having Cinema 4D. And that's the reason I will keep working in Cinema 4D, because it's just how it goes. But I'm not against Blender in any way. I'm sure you can do great stuff in there. I also think it's vector-based drawing, so that's also a reason not to do it. But I'm not going to slag it off because I don't know anything really about it. Do you plan on creating any course on Udemy about 2D and 3D animation and modeling? The reason I asked on Udemy is that it's available all over the world and the price is affordable depending on the country. Okay. Yeah, as I said before, I'd like to make a course. I haven't really looked into which platform I would launch it on if I do it. I don't even know if I will do it, but if I do it, then maybe Udemy is the right one. I will have to look into this. How do you support yourself? Are these videos your full-time job? No, they are not my full-time job. They are just kind of a side thing I'm doing. But how I support myself, I work in the advertisement business, as I said before. I do animation for, you know, commercials and films and stuff. Can you share with us how you render these scenes using Redshift or Arnold in Cinema 4D? So you want to know the render settings, or I don't know really. I think it's pretty straightforward. If you ever used one of those renders, it's just like some global illumination and a few lights. That's it. But maybe I'll show you in a future video more specifically how I set it up. Do you make a storyboard before you make your films? And if you do, what is your process when you're making your storyboard? Do you go into a lot of details? How much of what you make in your storyboard actually transfers to your film? Well, I don't really, on these personal projects, I don't really make a storyboard. I tend to write kind of a mixture of a script and a shot list, kind of a detailed outline of each shot, so I know what's going into it and, you know, what the characters are doing and what the kind of mood is. I've sometimes scribbled things out on storyboard, but when you're not working with other people, then you don't really need it, I would say, because you got it all in your head. But if you do work with another animator or someone else, then yes, I think storyboards are probably the best way to share your vision of what each shot should look like. So yeah, but my answer is no for my own films, and yes, sometimes for my commercial work. Last question. Your channel hasn't always been animations. So how did you get started? Well, I think it's always been about animation, but okay. How did I get started? I started like animating and stuff. I was more into kind of filmmaking and doing like fan films when I was younger. Me and my brother did some Star Wars fan films, and we got a hold of like After Effects and tried to do some visual effects and stuff, and it sort of opened up this whole world for me. So I was about 15 or something when I started, and yeah, ever since I just kept going and learning more and studying it a bit, and then working in this field. So I guess that's how I got started. All right, that was all the questions. Thank you so much for everyone who wrote them, and yeah, keep asking, please. I really like to communicate with you guys, and I really like to go through and answer as many as I can in the comment section. So yeah, stay tuned for more videos, and I'll see you soon. Bye.